Oh, and we also have Codex. I need to get to that. I've been putting that off for weeks. Okay, let's do some research first, if we can. We might not have the I guess we don't have the upgrades in most cases. But I was going to say we might not even have the... God, what are these called? Elements. Resources. There we go. Squad bonus plus 30% tech power damage. We got a lot of EZOs, so sure. And... damage protection. Squad bonus plus 30% to shields, barriers, and armor. Very nice. Whoop! Oh, that was applied right there, huh? Hard shields. Shepherd's shields take 20% less damage. That requires 25,000 palladium. Okay, hang on. Let's look at what else we got. Squad bonus 20% faster cooldown on tech abilities. 5,000 EZO required. That's fine. Don't need those. Prototypes. Heavy weapon ammo upgrade for that. Otherwise, no. Okay. Well, we've got 25,000 palladium. Let's spend it, shall we? Shepherd shields take 20% less damage. That's fine. Right, okay, so... got so much to do. You know what? Let's get into the Codex first, and we'll make this episode a Codex episode. And then we'll catch up with everybody, and then find out where the hell we are in the next episode. So from this point on, this is going to be Codex. Mass Effect 2 Codex. And if you don't want to sit and listen to it, which I'm totally fine with. I won't take it personally. I won't even know if you skip ahead, honestly. No one will tell me. Just skip to the end of this video. If there is another video already uploaded for you to listen to, you can move right along into the next video of the LP, and you won't miss any gameplay other than just reading the code. Oh, squad. Okay, we did get 4 points, didn't we? I think it makes most sense to put it into Reeve. But let's look. 30% of weapon damage over 3 seconds, 40% of weapon damage over 3 seconds. And then Shockwave has a number of 10, 2 meter radius, and 400 newtons. 12, 2.5 meters, and 500 newtons. Pull goes from 7 to 9 seconds. And Reeve goes from 40 points per second for 3.5. 40 points per second for 4. Yeah, let's purchase Reeve. Okay. Alright, so... and journal. Journal. Let's check out the journal. Reaper IFF. Yeah. We're going to take care of it. I know, Pem knows, that once you do the Reaper IFF mission, pretty much the rest of the game is on autopilot. You can do other missions after the spoiler alert, Collectors attack the Normandy, but it costs you. So once you start the Reaper IFF, that's pretty much the end game right there. So we're going to be doing every other quest that we need to get to before we do that, including all the loyalty ones that we can get to. Acquire Reaper IFF. Look at all this. We got so much. And the Lair of the Shadow Broker. And oh gosh, what is it called? Project Firewalker and Overlord and all that stuff. Go to the Citadel. We talked to Garrus? Yes, that's right. We did. Go to the Citadel for his revenge on Sidonus. We gotta speak to a clan leader, which would require us to go to Tuchanka. And we need to talk to Samara about the Aryakshi business. Okay. And then assignments. Any new assignments? No. But we will take care of that. Firewalker Overload. We have to go back to Overlord, rather. We have to go back to Omega at some point to deal with the end of the Patriarch quest. Smuggling Depot. One of these was one I was not going to do. I think it was this one, the Smuggling Depot, because I don't want Cerberus to not get anything from that Smuggling Depot. This one I am going to do, because this is the one that I was following up on right before the Elusive Man had me go to the Collector ship, I think. Blood Pack Base. Yeah, that's right, because we had to decode some information in that on that one planet, and while it was decoding we got attacked again. Yeah, that was right before. Pretty sure that was right before we went to Ilium. To talk to Liara. See Liara. And then Ilium, the Blue Rose of Ilium, we may not address that again. I don't really feel like it's our place to tell her what kind of decision she should make. Stolen goods. Mr. Thax, right. That's something we'll have to do when we go back to Ilium, which we will have to do because we still have to get Thane. Okay. Codex. Codex. Here we go. Codex. Let's do primary first, because that'll require talker guy to talk.
In the early 21
what's new here? Praetorians.
The Krogan, hovering tanks resembling a cross between an octopus and a giant crab. Praetorians are well-armored killing machines of mysterious origin. Praetorians employ redundant systems from the multiple humans encased within them. Armed with eye-mounted particle beams and capable of attacks at close range, they teleport to evade attack while regenerating their shields. Within hours after death, the organic components of Praetorian corpses disintegrate into a denatured pus, while their mechanisms turn to ash. One specimen, autopsied within minutes of death, reveals a clue. Nanomachines may disintegrate the Praetorians' organic and mechanical components before self-destructing. If correct, this self-rendering hypothesis could account for 3 documented cases of dead Praetorians apparently releasing or becoming clouds of neurotoxic gases, causing suffocating paralysis and nearly instant death. In one remote facility, 17 soldiers died from gas inhalation while assessing the Praetorian. Any personnel in the vicinity of dead Praetorians are urged to protect themselves with breathing apparatus.
I know what they were going for at the end of Mass Effect 3 with the decision that you have to make versus the Reapers, the hybrid, the dominate, or the destroy. I can, in the abstract, I can appreciate what the writers were trying to do. But when you go back and play the games again with that in mind, and you see just what monsters they made the Reapers into, nothing that little kid says at the end of Mass Effect 3 can excuse the crazy, fucked up shit that the Reapers did to organic life all over the place. Like, it wasn't just, I don't know. Like, look at what this Praetorian does. It's made up of multiple humans that did not consent at all to be used in this way. And then when it is destroyed, after it destroys a whole bunch of living things, it's really deadly. Then when it's finally destroyed, it can kill you even after it's destroyed in a nasty way. Gas inhalation, suffocating paralysis. And at the end of Mass Effect 3, you're supposed to entertain the idea that you could possibly live in peace with the Reapers or dominate them. It's just... Or, assimilate, rather, with the Reapers or dominate them. It's just nuts. I don't see how they could have... Oh, the sound just cut out there. That was weird. I don't see how they could have just played through the games themselves and thought, yes, these endings are acceptable. This is something that Shepard would consider doing. Like, this is what Shepard's been fighting the whole time, and at the end of the game you're asked to, join forces with these things, or possibly enslave them in a way. It's just like, no, you would want to kill the fuck out of these things forever. That's not supposed to be a spoiler for what kind of decision Malcolm Shepard's going to make when this is all over. It's just a thought. 'Cause fuck, what the fuck? And it's the same thing with, it's another... The other decision that I don't like, what they made with the story in the Mass Effect series, is the beginning of Mass Effect 2, where they kill you off and have you work with Cerberus. Because they spent for similar reasons. They spent the entire first game, not the entire first game, they spent a large portion of the first game demonstrating what evil psycho fucks Cerberus are. And then they have members of your crew that you've liked and trusted from the beginning of the game, the beginning of the series, join Cerberus without even being encouraged or asked to by Shepard. Like Joker, for instance. Why the fuck does Joker join Cerberus? He makes some little throwaway line about, well, they're not a pain in the ass like the Alliance. He says something about the Alliance and how he got out and moved to Cerberus. But when you play through the first game again, you're like, wait a minute, this isn't just this isn't just a difference of ideas here. This is like evil, nasty, terroristic, and they're basically like raping people. I mean, not in the sense of sexual assault, but in the sense of committing heinous and horrible acts on them without their consent. Violations, violating sentient beings left and right, Cerberus is. And somehow at the beginning of Mass Effect 2 they just gloss over that and act like you and Joker joining them is not that big of a deal. And I know that they have your old crewmates kind of act weird about it when they see you. Admiral Anderson now kind of has reservations about you joining them. Ashley or Caden, whoever survives to Horizon, obviously voices their discontent. But only in like one sentence, and you just kind of shrug it off and keep moving. It's like, no, this is not... if they wanted you to join Cerberus in the second game, I'm fine with that decision, but they should have, I think, provided a line, some lines of dialogue or a string of dialogue, a dialogue tree where you could demonstrate thoroughly that you rejected everything that Cerberus stood for and that you were only with them because at the time you felt like you had no other choice. Instead, the best that you get is, well, my goals align with yours for right now, so I guess I'll play along. But you never really get to voice your disgust with Cerberus. You can mention like, you guys, I heard you were terrorists, but you don't actually ever get to say like, hey, you killed my entire goddamn squad on a cruise, you sons of bitches. And then the one guy that survived, you kidnapped him and tortured him for years. Or you killed Admiral Kahoku. Or you enslaved human beings and then turned them into Thorian creepers and husks, and you installed dragon's teeth on colonies and let the colonists be taken over. And it's just like a whole laundry list of shit. This is like Nazi level, like Boko Haram level nasty stuff that they did. And then you join them. And the writers never really provide Shepard a way to express his disgust as thoroughly as an actual human being would, I don't know. The decision to kill Shepard at the beginning of the game, I did not like. Thought it was terrible. I think it's on par with the ending of Mass Effect 3 in terms of bad storytelling decisions. But anyway, that was a small rant there. I still love these games, and Mass Effect 2 specifically I really, really enjoy, and I like the characters that you get to play with in Mass Effect 2. I'm glad that they changed things up from the first game. I wish that they would have put more effort into making it seem like a natural transition from 1 to 2 instead of you were killed by this mysterious alien race and these assholes found you and put you back together, so now you work for them. It's like, what? Nobody would consent to that. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, continuing with the Codex, because this is going to be a long episode as it is.
A typical terminus colony possessing minimal tourist value, Horizon promises substantial economic opportunity, especially in providing new products for humans and supplying the Turian hierarchy. Surveyed 18 years ago, Horizon received pilot habitation 4 years later. The colony proper is now 8 years old. Blessed with verdant forests and abundant fresh water, Horizon maintains a colonial culture that thrives as a refuge from the increasing restrictions of Citadel-governed society. Horizon has attracted numerous dissidents, marginal people, and fringe dwellers from across Alliance space.
Marginal people. I like that. That's specific enough to give you an idea, but vague enough that you're kind of like, marginal people? If you were referred to as a marginal person, you'd be like, excuse me? Marginal person?
A regional hub of Asari commerce awash in riches, Ilium is infamous for its abusive labor practices and legalization of nearly everything except murder.
Spectre capital of the world
Ilium
there.
is the preferred production site for weapons and pharmaceuticals that would be illegal nearly everywhere else, made even more lucrative by legal indentured servitude. Among the biotics-related pharmaceutical producers is the Dantius Corporation, a rising star in galactic commerce. Despite the dangers of its products, Ilium is renowned for glamour, luxury, and safety, provided by near-total surveillance, making it a favored tourist destination. Countless celebrities maintain palatial estates on Ilium and in its capital Nos Astra. The sole obstacle to business on Ilium is its extensive bureaucracy, tolerated only for its provision of security. Regardless of the character of its economy, Ilium's self-congratulatory media exalts its own society with the provincial arrogance of new money, glorifying in sexiest CEOs and 10 richest residents lists.
Sounds like Wall Street, the planet.
Known as the Starcraft Cemetery, Corliss was the regional toxic junkyard for centuries. Ships reaching astronautical near-death at connecting mass relays were sent to Corliss, stripped of every useful component, then dumped planetward to clear shipping lanes. Currently, Corliss hosts numerous merc factions, such as the Blue Suns, rumored to be using downed ship fossils to test advanced munitions. Massive gun batteries threaten anyone attempting planetfall, with minimal defenses against ground attack. Because ancient volcanism greenhoused the planet, Corliss was too hot and CO2 rich to develop a biosphere, despite the abundant lakes that could have sponsored the development of life. Now cool enough for protected habitation, but too scorching for anyone but extremophiles and mercenaries seeking secrecy, Corliss supports numerous Krogan outposts. The Krogan have therefore seeded Corliss with hardy Varen, often kept as warhounds. Varen live primarily on a diet of geophagous vermin and each other.
I presume by geophagus they mean eating rocks? What vermin eat rocks? I know that there are microorganisms that consume inorganic matter. But I don't know. I suppose there could be an alien race, but I'd like to understand their biology. That'd be weird. Ships and vehicles.
Asari-made Solera. Following
the
the Battle
Thanix
of
cannon.
the Citadel, human and Turian volunteers conducted a massive 3-month recovery effort to clear the station's orbit of debris. Secretly, the Turian Office of Technological Reconnaissance volunteers were technology recovery specialists, salvaging the main weapon of the Geth flagship Sovereign and large amounts of its valuable Element Zero core. Contrary to popular belief, Sovereign's main gun was not a directed energy weapon. Rather, its massive Element Zero core powered an electromagnetic field suspending a liquid iron uranium tungsten alloy that shaped into armor-piercing projectiles when fired. The jet of molten metal, accelerated to a fraction of the speed of light, destroys targets by impact force and irresistible heat. Only 11 months after the battle, the Turians produced the Thanix, their own miniaturized version of Sovereign's gun. The Thanix can fire reliably every 15 seconds, rivaling a cruiser's firepower, but mountable on a fighter or frigate.
They didn't match the reading there to what's actually written. That's cool. I kind of forgot that the gun is based on Sovereign's technology. Also, this reminds me, the end of the last episode, well, not end, the middle of the last episode when we escaped the collector ship, something that it bugged me. It bugged me during the cinematic when we're escaping, when the Normandy actually pulls away. We pull away from the ship, and we fly towards the front of the ship while they're powering up their main guns, right? And their main guns are on the front of the ship. Joker flies the Normandy basically right in front of the main gun, and then turns the ship. Now, if you have any exposure to like aerial combat strategy or tactics, maybe through video games or because you're a buff who reads up on those kinds of things, a military buff or something, I think this is true in naval combat as well. But if you are in a dogfight, for example, and let's say you're in a dogfight in World War I or World War II era fighters, where the guns are only facing forward. That's the only way that you have to fly in front of the enemy's ship, basically, for them to shoot you. Enemy's plane, rather. When you are in front of them, you're supposed to turn toward them. So it's hard to do without being able to illustrate it for you guys. Hard to describe. Let's say you're coming at each other at an angle, and you pass in front of the other person's ship. Instead of turning away from them, turning away from them basically allows you to get on their tail. Allows them to get on your tail, and lines up a perfect shot for them. You're supposed to turn toward them, and then they have to make a really tight turn to try to pursue you, and in the meantime you can keep turning and get away and not let them have a good shot on you. Joker, if you go back and watch that video of the escape, Joker did the exact wrong thing he's supposed to do. He should have turned the Normandy in toward the collector ship as he passed in front of it, basically turning to the right as he passed in front of it, and then getting away. And the collector ship would have had to take all that time to turn its main gun toward the Normandy while the Normandy zipped away. Instead, Joker turned right into the path of the collector ship, and then it had a clear shot at us. That's not that big of a deal, but they make huge deal in this game about Joker being the freaking greatest pilot in the Alliance, and then he does something that's just the boneheaded move that even rookie pilots know not to do. You're taught that, probably one of the first things you're taught in flight tactics, combat tactics in the air, is don't turn into the path of the enemy that can shoot at you, or don't turn your tail on them, rather. So I don't know. I know that the game was made by people who maybe didn't know that kind of stuff, but if you're touting your best pilot, if you're writing this character as if he's the best pilot, when you show him flying the ship, you should probably try to not make him look like a freaking moron. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
The collector's particle beam weapon is
there was something new here.
crafted,
Oh, this.
possessing few moving parts, lacking any obvious means for disassembly, and containing organic parts. The amount of energy required to create a destructive beam is several orders of magnitude more than the energy required to launch a physical projectile at high velocity via a mass effect field. Lacking any clear ammunition or fuel source, the device likely uses heat sinks or compensators to maintain firing during sustained combat. Current Cerberus efforts to understand the technology and replicate it have failed.
Good. This is an example of, or rather an indication of how long it's been since we've done a Codex review, because this was all the way back on Horizon. And we've already finished, we just finished the collector ship, we finished Act 2, basically. And this is at the end of Act 1. We've gone pretty much an entire act of the game without checking the Codex. Okay, probably a lot to read here. Collector General might have been new, I don't know. Let's read Krogan Blood Rage. Actually, let's check, was Collector General new? We probably wouldn't have seen this until Horizon, so yeah, this probably is new. Okay. Cerberus genobiologists believed until recently that the collectors were coordinated by a biotically active caste, similar to other insectoid alien species. New evidence suggests the collectors have a singular commander, a so-called collector general, that has never been seen on the battlefield. Instead, it selects its minions as remote platforms for its consciousness in a process that has been likened to a biological hack or a cybernetic version of demonic possession. The Collector General can send a secure signal to any one of its minions, smoothly take control of their motor functions, and awaken their previously dormant biotic potential. In a matter of seconds, even the lowliest Collector drone can be upgraded to a battle-hardened biotic commander. If the Collector dies, the General can simply activate and control another body. Post-mortem analysis reveals that this command signal relies on cybernetic implants directly installed in the Collector's cerebellums. I think the correct plural there is cerebella, because it's Latin, right? But how the technology functions is presently unknown. Coordinating sensor input and motor function simultaneous with remotely amplifying biotic abilities is beyond the grasp of current human science. Why such an advanced species would be interested in humans is puzzling. More disturbing still, victims of the Collectors say the General has spoken to them and referred to itself by a human name, Harbinger. Okay, then the other one was the Krogan Blood Rage, the Ponfar. Feared throughout the galaxy as nightmarishly violent warriors, the Krogan are both aided and hobbled by their legendary Blood Rage. In the grip of that madness, Krogan become seemingly invincible, but are merely totally unresponsive to pain. Blood-enraged Krogan fight regardless of injury level, to the extent that Krogan shorn of all 4 limbs continue gnashing past brain death until total somatic death. That is awesome. Krogan are the cutest things ever. The supremely resilient, hyper-violent blood rage is the synergy of 2 aspects of Krogan neurology. The first aspect is a positive feedback loop in which adrenaline, also activated by fear or rage, suppresses serotonin, the brain chemical that induces serenity. The second is the overdeveloped Krogan limbic system. In Krogan, as in humans, fear or rage shifts mental control from the frontal lobes, responsible for reasoning, to the limbic system, responsible for aggression and survival. During that shift, Krogan and humans exhibit diminished capacity for logic and self-control. Prior to the ecological devastation of Tuchanka, blood rage was extremely rare among the Krogan. Back then, while all Krogan were capable of heightened anger and violence in fight-or-flight scenarios, almost none experienced insensitivity to pain. The 1% who did were those suffering serotonin suppression. At that time, Krogan society regarded the condition as pathological and medicated or imprisoned sufferers to protect them and society. Following nuclear ecocide 4 millennia ago, evolution selected only those Krogan afflicted with blood rage for survival. Today there is no living memory among the Krogan of a life without mindless, murderous fury. It's an entire race of awesome, mad dog, rabid beasts. Saiyans. Though the exact fate of species captured by the Collectors is unclear, the humanoid appearance of the Saiyans gives ghastly clues. The Saiyans' frame and skull are similar to those of a human or a Sari, but the bone structure is overlaid with a metallic resin. Posthumous examination of their bodies reveals a skin tone resembling that of Reaper husks, but their transformation process seems more extensive. Like husks, they are cybernetically modified on a nanoscale, so they can operate even in hard vacuum. Hoses rather than veins and muscle tissue join major portions of the body together. One arm is replaced with a construct that fits a large rifle, turning the creature into a humanoid weapons platform, and a fleshy sac is supported by the creature's back and head. These sacs contain brain matter and spinal tissue, too much to have come from just one victim. This indicates Saiyans are an amalgam of several individuals, with one primary victim providing the frame and several secondaries providing the flesh, for a decentralized semi-mechanical nervous system. This decentralization makes them highly resistant to gunshot wounds. Even a headshot is not a certain kill. Saiyans' weapons, however, indicate that Saiyans retain some living tissue, or at least sustain some of the same electrochemical reactions as those of a human biotic. The weapon creates a powerful warp effect, which is consistent with the eezo nodules visible in the Saiyans' expansive nervous system. Given the rarity of human biotics, it seems likely that these dust-form eezo nodules are deposited during their transformation, rather than requiring a biotic victim in the first place. Yeah, they do a shockwave style attack that also seems to do frost damage to you, based on the skin, what's the word I'm looking for? The effect on your character. The decals, I guess? The decals on your character's armor are kind of frost-looking. Arrival, oh boy. The Reaper's Secrets, Object Robe. Dr. Amanda Kenson's scientific team has cataloged 3 major discoveries on the artifact encased in the 157 Golgotha asteroid. First, the large artifact is rooted into the core of the asteroid and has a barrier that is similar to, but much more powerful than, a biotic stasis field. This gives it an unnatural resilience to alteration or damage, and even prevents state-of-the-art laser drilling from extracting the smallest piece for analysis. Second, the object's interior is energetically active, with a quantum stasis field rivaling that of Prothean technology found in mass relays. Like those creations, it activates in response to threat, at which point the artifact consumes a phenomenal amount of power. Dr. Kenson's team believes the object draws this power directly from dark matter, though how is still unknown. Another reference to dark matter. The third discovery is that the object broadcasts signals and information on many different spectra. One such pulse, suspected to be similar to a quantum entanglement communicator, reaches into Reaper territory. Another broadcast is infrasound, consistent with frequencies that trigger feelings of awe and fear in humans, a known factor in Reaper indoctrination. Kenson's laboratory is filled with equipment dedicated to monitoring any signal coming from the artifact in the hopes that some clue will prove the Reaper's undoing before it's too late. Yes, well, you know how that turned out. Planet Aratot. Let me just take a drink of water here first. Nothing is impossible, says the hegemony propaganda poster that depicts a muscular Batarian miner under an Aratot sky, his rebreather held away from his face as if he's just taken it off. The image sums up millions of man-hours of labor on the Batarian planet and represents or misrepresents much of its history. 2 decades ago, Aratot, like several planets in the Skyllian Verge, was claimed by both human and Batarian governments, but the Alliance backed out after learning about the atmosphere's dangerously low pressure and oxygen levels. Instead, they concentrated their colonial efforts on planets that could support human life without the aid of domed habitats and rebreathers. Human governments saw this as a wise move. Batarians saw it as cowardly. The Batarians rose to the colonization challenge, shipping in large numbers of laborers. They took the high financial costs and casualties due to accidents or logistical snafus in stride. Snafus? Really? That's an acronym. Situation normal, all fucked up, I'm pretty sure is what it means, but I don't know that I've ever heard it used, like, in a sentence. I mean, I have heard it used in a sentence, but usually it's it's a sentence referring to the snafu itself, you know. Like, oh, it was a big snafu. I've never heard it used to describe, I don't know, it seems kind of indirect here. It's a little, like, snafu, usually you use it directly to refer to a situation that you're in that's all fucked up. Saying that laborers took the snafus in stride, it doesn't sound right somehow. It sounds strange. Anyway. Large-scale dumping of cyanobacteria has increased the oxygen in the atmosphere by a fraction of 1%, a modest increase that the hegemony trumpets as a sign of their eventual victory. Short-term profits on Aratot are largely made in the minerals sector through mining the extremely metal-rich planetary crust. The dark side to mining does not appear on the propaganda poster. The majority of laborers are indentured servants or slaves. Aratot is rumored to have military bases on its surface and throughout its solar system, though details are heavily restricted by the hegemony's Ministry of Information Control. Human merchant ships rarely come to the planet, outcompeted by local companies that benefit from heavy economic protections. The average Aratot citizen only sees humans on the news, usually featured in stories of trials and executions. Oh, the average Aratot citizen only sees humans on the news, is how it should be said. I thought they were saying you only see humans on the news. I was like, what? There's just humans doing the news broadcast? That's weird. Usually featured in stories of trials and executions of accused spies. Finally, the Alpha Relay. So, this is the planet that we destroyed, basically. We killed 300,000. It was 300,000, right? 300,000 Batarians, roughly, on Aratot when we destroyed the Alpha Relay. So I imagine that those souls weigh heavily on Malcolm's mind. The Alpha Relay. Discovering the age of a mass relay is not an easy task. Relays can shield themselves to preserve their integrity down to the quantum level, so taking a sample for analysis proves nigh impossible. Relays also maintain self-cleaning cycles, wiping away potential evidence, though damage or dormancy can cause this cycle to break down, such as in the case of the Charon Relay, which became covered in ice. That's new information. I don't remember them mentioning that the maintenance in the original Mass Effect. A breakthrough was recently made by Dr. Amanda Kenson, who revisited old methods of dating the relays by testing dust trapped in their gravity wells. By comparing the relative velocity of relays to that of the stars they orbit, as well as the composition of the dust around dormant relays against the dust at known locations in their star systems, Kenson could create a timeline of when a relay passed through the dust. The result dates the relay back millions of years. Some may even predate the Protheans. Well, I should say so, given that the Protheans were around only 50,000 years ago. Kenson concluded that, we know that they predate the Protheans. We learned that from Sovereign in the first game. But anyway, this sentence doesn't really logically follow. The result dates the relay back millions of years. Next thought, some may even predate the Protheans. Of course they predate, They can't help but predate the Protheans if they date back millions of years. Kenson concluded that the oldest known relay is in Batarian space. Dubbed Alpha, it resides near the star Bahak and is unusual in its potential range and versatility. Alpha usually sends and receives mass at the range of a normal secondary relay, but if certain controls are adjusted, it becomes powered by an unprecedented amount of dark energy that could send cargo to 16 other relays and even across a great distance to the Citadel. Hegemony authorities have kept this quiet, fearing retaliation from Council species who would assume hostile intent if they found a sudden new route into their space. It goes without saying that the Reapers have no such fear. That's new. And again, mentioning the dark matter in relation to relays is new too. All the other relays that we've heard about function from element 0, right? Unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure that Mass Effect relays, the way that they function is based on element 0 science. It has nothing to do with dark matter. So another mention of dark matter. They were going to go that direction for the third game, and then they didn't. Planets and locations. Purgatory. Originally an Ark ship designed to carry agricultural animals, the Purgatory was taken by the Blue Suns mercenary company during a large-scale battle in the Skyllian Verge. In a years-long reconstruction of its interior, the Blue Suns repurposed it to hold sapient prisoners, supposedly because they captured so many in their conflicts throughout the galaxy. When media outlets started investigating claims that the ship was used for slaving operations, the Blue Suns turned a public relations nightmare into a regular income source. Claiming to be in full accordance with Citadel law, the crew of Purgatory now regularly lands on planets or space stations claiming that they can no longer hold their prisoners because of cost overruns. To avoid keeping prisoners under inhumane conditions, they will have to release them at the nearest port, dumping the scum of the galaxy directly into the local population. Faced with such a scenario, the government usually grants Purgatory's crew massive discounts in fuel, food, and repairs as long as they go away. Some even offload their own prisoners to Purgatory for a fee, grateful to have a problem relocated somewhere other than their backyard. Such unfortunates go in the dark depths of the ship, never to be seen again by their families or contacts. Purgatory is minimally armed with Guardian defenses. Though a cruiser-weight ship, it relies on the Blue Suns fighters to prevent any attacks bent on a jailbreak or similar events. Okay, so here's something. I like this idea. I like the idea of a prison ship just going around blackmailing planets, into giving them stuff, or else we'll release all our inmates on your planet. That's a neat idea. However, maybe not every, but most of the planets in... Wait, does it say where they are? Skyllian Verge. Doesn't say where Purgatory was operating, though, for the most part, does it? So I guess if it was out in the Terminus systems or the Skyllian Verge, maybe... I'm thinking if it was, landing on colonies of humans or Batarians or Turians or Asari or Solarians or Krogan, and I guess the Krogan don't really have many colonies, but if it was demanding, if it was blackmailing those planets would just appeal to their species' military, right? Like humans would call the Alliance and say, hey, this prison ship's trying to blackmail us, can you come blow them out of the sky? And the Alliance would probably just do it, right? Same with the Turians or the Solarians or the Asari. So they must not be doing it to affiliated planets, they must be doing it to independent planets out in the further reaches of the galaxy, I guess. Which makes sense, because I think we encountered them in a non-Citadel space Purgatory when we got Jack. Pretty sure we did. I think that's it. Oh my gosh, that was a lot. Okay. Let's save it. And that'll be this episode. Next episode, I guess now.